Hello and welcome to Your Sparkly Brand. We're here to inspire and empower entrepreneurs just like you. This podcast is all about delivering no fluff, high value content that helps you to grow your business. Doesn't matter if you have no budget and you're still DIYing everything on your own. We're giving you the tips, tools, and strategies that you need to build your sparkly empire. I'm Megan Gersh, your branding and website expert, and I'm here with my co-host and copywriting queen, Lauren Tassi. Hey, Lauren, how's it going?
Hey, Megan, I'm great. How are you?
I am okay. I've been hanging in there. I've been having a little bit of a rough week, but trying to still find the little sparkles and, hold gratitude for what I can this week.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a sparkly moment for the week?
I do. So I spent my weekend at a mastermind event for copywriters. I was in a room with like 80 copywriters for 2 days, which is a lot of energy and a lot of people that have a lot of thoughts, but don't speak to people all day long. But it's just so nice to be around people that like just innately understand what you do and how you spend your time. Like you don't have to be like, oh yeah, well, I kind of I don't really have a real job. Like I do work, but I can work whenever I want. And so it's just great to walk away from this weekend sort of feeling inspired and renewed about, the work I do.
Oh, that's so awesome. I know in-person events can be just such a game changer too when it comes to like networking with people, like just because there's nothing like face-to-face, right? Like it's just not comparable to anything we do online.
Yeah, it's just like 5 minutes in person, weekly hour-long Zoom calls with people. Like it's just, you just connect so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? What was your sparkle this week?
So I just finished up some TikTok coaching with a client this week, and she actually sent me quite a nice review. And so that's always something that puts a smile on my face. And it just like really like it feels nice to know that you help people. And, getting that confirmation can sometimes, especially when you're having a week like this week where it's kind of been up and down for me. I feel like I'm kind of in, we talk about the waves of your business. Like I'm definitely in the pit right now of like, trying to get myself out of that. But it just feels nice when you have like those little pieces of, feedback from clients and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that is a great segue into what we are talking about today, which is getting reviews and testimonials. This is something that like all businesses should do, and it should be something that you can kind of automate. Social proof is like one of the most important elements of marketing. Like there are businesses where that's 90% of their marketing is social proof because it's so powerful, right? It's the reason we read Amazon reviews. It's the reason, we look for TikTok video reviews of products. Like it's just what other people think of things just matters so much to us as humans. So that's why it's so important. Any review is better than no review, but when you learn how to ask the right questions and sort of guide people's reviews or testimonials a little bit, you can get really amazing reviews that do all the selling for you. So we have a bunch of tips for you today on how to get high quality reviews and testimonials. And I'll kick it off with our first one, which is to make asking for reviews and testimonials a part of your process. You want to do it as soon as a project is over or if you've shipped out a product and you have confirmation that it's been received by your customer. So this is a super easy, simple thing to automate. If you're selling products, it's a post-purchase sequence. It's once the shipping confirmation has come through, there's another email that goes out. And if you're a service provider, there's tons of systems that will automate it for you. I feel like I talk about this all the time, but I'm new to Dubsado and I really love the process. They make the workflow super easy. I'm working on automating this system in my business right now. So I would totally go check out Dubsado if you're a service provider looking for a new CRM system. And then I also suggest if you're a service provider, following up 1 or 2 months later to get numbers, whether that's like email open rates, conversion rates, whatever, numbers are most impressive to your future clients. Getting those actual like solid like numbers can make a huge difference.
Yeah. And that brings us to our next point where we're talking about like how numbers are just so effective when it comes to reviews. They definitely are points that stand out. They grab attention. Like Lauren was saying, like it can take a little bit more effort to obtain those numbers just because, you have to be diligent about marking those dates in your calendar to follow up with people. And it might take a little bit more effort on the client's end to grab those for you. But if you are able to grab those numbers from the results that you've gotten for clients, that can be such a game changer in basically telling that story of like how you actually helped that person. So I wanted to give a few examples of what this might look like. So saying that your sales went up 200%, or if you generated a certain dollar amount in your revenue, those would be great stats to include in your reviews. Even like more soft numbers as well, like getting like an extra hour of sleep or saving an hour a day, those kinds of things where It doesn't have to be money based. It can also be time. It can be other ways that you've helped people. When you are putting together your reviews from a design perspective, if you have a number that you can highlight, that always is a great thing to, make sure that it's in larger text, that it's in a bolder font. So that way it really jumps out at the person that's reading the review.
And then instead of generally asking for a review or a testimonial, sending a survey is a really smart way to do it and get sort of focused responses. You can ask specific questions. We're going to give you a bunch of questions at the end of this episode that you can use. It really sort of takes customers or clients down the path that they were before they found your product or service, and then where they're at now that they've implemented it. And it makes it easier for the customer, right? Like just sending, leave a review is a really vague prompt, where if you give them a question to answer or a thought or something like that, it makes it easier for somebody who maybe doesn't like to write or has trouble putting words together like that. So it benefits both you and your customer.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I'll add to that too is to consider asking the customer or the client to hop on a quick video call with you. I've done this a ton in my business where if we hit the end of the program, maybe we'll have the call right then, or we'll finish out the call with some questions there. Or you can schedule out a follow-up call with your client just so that, they can give you some feedback on, the things they liked, the things they didn't like, or the things that might be helpful to add to your program in the future. You can walk them through that process, tell them to, give them a little bit of background on their story and help them show that transformation from where they were and then where they are now after you've worked with them. Video reviews are always going to be your best option if that's a possibility for your business. You can just get so much more emotion. It feels more real to the person that's watching that review. And it's just when you're on video, if that person is talking straight to the camera, that is just as authentic as you can get, right? It's not, a lot of the time people will say you don't know if reviews are staged or whatever. But if somebody's talking directly to the camera, you can see their emotion, they're telling their story. It just comes off as a lot more authentic. And then you can always take what was said in the review and repurpose it into text. I do this a lot on social media where you can take what that person said and turn it into a nice Canva graphic. This is also a great opportunity, like I was saying earlier, to really highlight the pieces of the review that you want to stand out.
Yeah. And then one other thing too is if you say you're in a volume business, you sell candles, and so you obviously can't get on a Zoom call with every one of your customers. But if you get a really great review or somebody just has a really great story, ask them if they'll hop on a quick call with you to get that video review so you have it so you can use on social. And a great way to sort of thank your customers or to incentivize them to leave a review is to give them a gift or a special offer in exchange for a review. It makes everyone feel valued, right? Giving you I see it all the time with surveys, right? It's hard to get people to respond to any sort of survey unless there's, an Amazon gift card that they could possibly win. So it doesn't have to be a give and take, a reciprocity thing, but offering that thing goes the extra mile and makes people feel valued. It could also just be as simple as a code for free shipping, or take a percentage off their next order. When you're in, a service-based business and you're selling, maybe higher touch packages, that kind of thing, you could send a gift card for coffee or tea afterwards and say, thank you so much. Good luck with your launch, or, that sort of thing. And then if you wouldn't mind, leave a review if you haven't already gone through that process with them. And then flattery is always a good, nice little gift that's free and, works well. Something I always do with my clients is I'm and not all my clients, it's only the ones I like, but I really enjoyed working with you and I'd love to find more clients like you. Would you mind leaving me a review? So that's a few more tips.
Yeah, I love that. And one other thing that I'll say too is that you don't want to over edit your reviews once you receive them. Oftentimes clients will speak in their own voice. They will, only they can tell their story. And so the more that you can keep it in their voice, the more authentic it's going to seem if you're reposting it online or you're repurposing it in some way. And to that same point, misspellings and grammatical errors are okay. It's just sometimes people are going to say gonna or woulda or those types of things where it just feels natural to that person.
Yeah. And another great way to find feedback that maybe a client isn't thinking about giving you a review is in an email or just some sort of response. Oh, hey, this is so great, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, oh, I love that. Would you mind if I use that as a review on my website? Or maybe it's a customer emailing your customer service department and it's a piece of praise or just something like that. And that, they maybe didn't intentionally mean for it to be a review, but a lot of times they've already written it. If they truly feel that way, they'll happily say, yes, go ahead and use that as a review. So sort of always keep an eye out for those pieces of praise and feedback coming in.
Yeah. One thing I'll add to that too is I will often use social media comments that I get oh, I bought this thing and it helped me so much, or I use this tip tip and I got X number of views, or I doubled my revenue, or whatever people will say in the comments. Lots of times I'll use that comment as another piece of content. So it's almost like helping you and building your credibility without you having to like go out and hunt for it. People just naturally leave it on your content just because it's helped them. And you can use that as another piece of content.
Yeah, absolutely. Like social proof is social proof. And I did a lesson for a course and I keep seeing in the Facebook group, people being like, Lauren, I made $1,000 following the thing you taught in this lesson. I'm immediately screenshotting that. And even though I don't have anything else to sell right now in that world, I'm like filing that away for the day that I do have another product that'll go along with that. The other thing you could do is you could offer to write a testimonial and then have your client sign off on it. This is not my favorite thing to do, especially me as a copywriter, because I just think it like, I sound like a copywriter. I can't write a review that's not that on point, but you are always welcome to do that, especially if you have a client that is just like not great at responding or has like one word emails. Offer to do that and then have them sign off of it. Any testimonial is better than no testimonial. The other thing is also to send them an example that would help them, start thinking in the right direction.
Yeah, I had some old bosses that have asked me to do that in the past. Like I basically was moving on from that job and they were like basically asked like, would you write me a testimonial for my future job seeking? And they were like, okay, do you want to write it? And I'll just post it. It felt like weird, but like, it is a method.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of work, so taking the work off somebody else's plate is definitely a benefit.
So now that we know how valuable reviews can be, let's go over some of the questions that you can actually ask your customers or clients when you are collecting testimonials. So the basic kind of structure to this is you want to make sure that you are showing that transformation, right? So you could be asking them, how did I help you overcome a specific problem? Or how much profit did you generate as a result? How did the final product meet your needs? Were you surprised with the service delivery? How did you find the experience working with me? Or would you recommend me to other friends or colleagues? I also wanted to include a few questions that I have recently learned from my mentor, but you want to ask like what the biggest challenge was before you started working with me. And then also, what are you celebrating after wrapping up our work together? And what's the most important thing that people should know about working with me? So basically, this helps to set the tone for not only what you worked on with them together, but it also shows a bit of how it is to work with you. What's your working style? And it gives a bit more insight into those soft skills as well.
Yeah, those are all great questions. One more thing I wanted to mention that I didn't initially list here was case studies, which is like a deeper, longer testimonial told in the third person. This is going to be for a high ticket product, a high ticket service. You're not going to do this for, a bar of soap. Probably. Maybe you do. A lot of times you can hire a copywriter to write this. This is, a bigger piece of the social proof puzzle, but these are the same sort of questions that we ask when doing a case study.
Now that we have our reviews, we know how important the reviews are. We have the questions to obtain the reviews. Once you start getting those reviews, like where on earth do you put them, right? So I just wanted to give you some examples here. You can put them on your website. Obviously, this is where like video reviews come into play, like really heavy, like, that can really help to convince a person, especially on like a higher ticket item. But you want to place these alongside your product and service pages. You can also use them on social media. As I mentioned earlier, you can do this just as screenshots from, wherever the person has left the review, or you can make a little stylized graphic and kind of do it that way. It also kind of depends on how your business is set up, where, maybe you're asking the person to leave you a review on Google My Business, or you're asking them to leave your review on Yelp, or maybe on Upwork, if that's where you are doing your business. Some of these platforms have built-in review systems. So depending on where you're focusing your efforts, it might be beneficial to point them in one direction or another.
Yeah. Reviews are my love language as a copywriter. Anybody who works for me or even a friend, if I have an opportunity to leave a legitimate review, I won't write I'm not going to write a review if I don't believe in it and have used the product or service. But like for my wedding, I asked all my people that work for me, where do you want me to leave the review? Because there's so many, the Knot, there's, Wedding Wire, there's Google. And so I would ask specifically, like, what's the best spot? Because some people are trying to build up their, Google SEO, or they want most of their clients come from the knot.com. And so they want the reviews there. So it does matter. And, if it's important to you, direct people to which platform you want them to leave a review.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just curious, where do you ask people to leave your reviews, Lauren?
Ooh, this is probably in the Upwork episode we did, but when it's on Upwork, when I'm doing a contract through Upwork, I always sort of, as I'm closing out, I go, I'm going to leave you a 5-star review. So I hope it's been a pleasure working together. If there's anything else I can do, I'll definitely be leaving you a 5-star review. And I've never not gotten a 5-star review on Upwork. And then mine is I just gather testimonials and then put them on my website. I also put them on my proposals now. The way I use in Dubsado, again, here we go, plugging it. You can put reviews in there. So I just think that's exactly the point when you want to remind people of how easy you are to work with.
That's awesome. So in the past, I've wanted to build up my LinkedIn profile, but I've since kind of shifted my strategy more towards like Google My Business, just because like SEO, like it helps to have constant reviews coming in there from, new clients. But yeah, I mean, I put them on my website. I put them in my Stan store as well. So that's basically where my link in bio kind of page where I have like all of my low level products and all of that jazz. But yeah, it's helpful to have like essentially like a giant bank of all the different testimonials that you receive over the years.
Yeah. And you mentioned this earlier, but if somebody leaves you a review on Google and then you want to share it on social media, or somebody leaves me a review on Upwork, I just screenshot it and move it somewhere else. They're not, static.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So that is our episode. Here's your task for today is if there's a past client or customer who sort of popped into your head while you're listening to this and you're like, I should really get in touch with them about getting a review. This is your sign to go ask them for a review or testimonial. Use it, take it, use the momentum, the sign that it's all coming to you means you should go get a review. And if you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you left us a review. I think you can review on Apple Podcasts if that's where you're listening, or do a rating on Spotify. And if you're listening on Spotify, we now have video on Spotify and we have poll and engagement questions on there. So check it out. It's pretty cool. And thank you so much for listening. Until next time, stay sparkly.